Let's make beef with oyster sauce. Tuesday night we had Chinese style beef with vegetables with an oyster sauce, and we served that with long grain rice. I'll just go through how we made this. So first of all, I velvetized the beef. So we used 213 grams of rump steak, and to velvetize the beef, which I'll go through with you, you need half a teaspoon of bicarb, 1 teaspoon of dark soy sauce, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, quarter of a teaspoon of MSG, a teaspoon of corn flour, and a teaspoon of sesame oil. I'll be doing that when I show the filming. So the vegetables that we use, and you don't have to use these vegetables, you can use whatever you want, but we used 80 grams of water chestnuts, 100 grams of peppers, 20 grams of spring onions. Then for flavouring we used a teaspoon of ginger, a teaspoon of garlic, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and then some corn flour mix to thicken the sauce up if it needs it. So that's the ingredients. Let's get on with the cooking. This was the meat that we used. It was from Morrison's, and it was 2 for £8, these steaks. I shared them with my mum. So my mum had one and then I had the other. And the weight of this, once I'd trimmed it, was 213 grams. Now slice it into thin slices, so cook it thin because it's going to be stir fried quite quickly. Cut it against the grain. So we're now going to velvetize the meat, so use half a teaspoon of bicarb. Quarter a teaspoon of salt, and then a quarter of teaspoon of MSG. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of soy sauce. If you've got this is dark. And then a teaspoon of corn flour. So pop your corn flour in there. And then you're gonna need a teaspoon of sesame oil, or if you've not got sesame oil, any oil will do. You're gonna need some garlic paste, so around about half a teaspoon of this. And then get your hands in and mix it all together. And what you need to be doing with this now is putting this in the fridge for about 20 minutes. If you don't have time to velvetize, then that's absolutely fine, but it does give it flavor and it also makes the meat more tender. Now I'm going to get the vegetables ready, so I'm just preparing the water chestnuts. For that first one I did cut it too small, but for the next ones I just sliced them. You can do them whole if you want, you don't have to use them. But I used 80 grams of these, the water chestnuts. It does give it that lovely crunch in the when you're eating it as well, so it is lovely to have these. And we also had red and green peppers, so I just cut these into halves. So I sliced them into strips and then cut them in half, and that's how I cook them. But you can leave them in strips if you want to. I would suggest just cutting them into thinner strips. I'm going to have some spring onions now with mine because I've got them in the fridge, so I might as well use them. And I used 20 grams of these of spring onions. That's all I'd got. So if you wanted, if you got any more, then you can use whatever veg you want. I used this rice, which was from Aldi, and it serves 2 people. Use noodles if you want, whatever you want to use. This is just boiling the bag rice, and I didn't make egg fried rice, but you can do that if you want to. So add some oil in the pan, and the first thing you need to be doing is getting the beef in there. Start frying your beef, and then when you've fried that for a couple of minutes, add half a teaspoon of ginger paste. And then give it a stir. Get this all stirred. Sorry about the tripod moving. And then add the water chestnuts in there as well. And then the peppers. Add the peppers in there as well. Didn't see it, but I did put salt and pepper in there as well. So let this stir fry for a couple of minutes, getting the beef cooked and getting the vegetables all nice and hot throughout and still remain crispy. I'm going to add a quarter teaspoon of MSG and also salt as well, so I'm going to add that to it. So this I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce to the ingredients and give it a stir. Then I'm going to add a splash of water. Let that simmer for a couple of minutes. And then add a splash of dark soy sauce, around about a tablespoon I would say. Then a teaspoon of corn flour in water to make a slurry, and then add that. This will thicken up the sauce for you and make it absolutely delicious. So get that to a nice consistency that you would see in a Chinese takeaway. So a nice thick and coated your ingredients. Lovely. Are you ready to dish up? So you've got your rice in your dish, and then serve up your beef in oyster sauce with vegetables. That's it, everybody. It's all dished up. I've just got to wipe round the plate because I like to serve it in a nice looking plate. But that's it. It was absolutely lovely and so delicious and tasty. You'll really enjoy this one. Have a go. Let me know how you get on. Bye everybody. See you later.